everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know what you guys are probably thinking. Just fuck off. You haven't uploaded in like 3 weeks, why are you even still here? I will not fail. I will not leave. I'm sorry. So I am going to be filming a story time video today because I was like, you know what, I'm going to come back with a bang and I'm going to film a story time because I know that that's the videos that you guys love to see. This story time, as you can tell by the title, is about the time that I found out that my boyfriend was gay. And no, this is not clickbait. This actually happened to me for real. It's just funny. It's like, really, Jess, like, you are the dumbest bitch ever that you couldn't tell that your own boyfriend was gay. Like, you really need to go get some help, doll. I'm by no means trying to be offensive to anyone that is gay, to anyone that is not comfortable with their sexuality at the moment. Of course, I've never been through that, but I understand. It's a very difficult thing, and I do get it. And I feel a lot of people in high school and even younger probably do struggle coming out with their sexuality because there's a lot of pressure. Not trying to be offensive, I'm just trying to say that this is something that happened to me, and it's a very original idea because what YouTuber has done, my boyfriend is gay, or my boyfriend was gay? Like, literally none. Like, literally no YouTubers have done that. I had quite a big group of friends when I was in school because I was popular. Just kidding. I wasn't actually. I literally looked sick. And they were like a mixture of both girls and boys, but most of them were girls. And I had a fair few really, really good friends that were friends with this guy who was a year above me in school. So he wasn't in my group. I'd never spoken to him. I saw him around all the time, but I'd never spoken to him. So I'm sitting in class and my friend is messaging this guy who she's really good friends with. And you know those times when you're in school, or if you are in school right now, when you just get really, really hyper with your friends and you just can't deal and you like sniff glue? So anyways, I'm sitting there and I literally see my friend messaging this guy, and I think it's going to be the funniest fucking thing to poke this guy on Facebook. Like, literally poke. Like, who? But that was a thing back in the day, was that poking people on Facebook was actually like a really good thing to do, and it was kind of like a way to like discreetly flirt with someone without talking to them. It was really good. I decided to poke him on Facebook, so I poked him and then he poked me back, and we kept poking each other. Of course, through Facebook, not in real life. That's coming soon. We're sitting there poking each other, and I'm like to my friend, oh my god, like, guess what? I'm so cool and like funny, like I'm so random. I just poked this guy. And she's like, oh my god, you're so random. And then we just cried. And then he starts talking to me on Facebook Messenger. So we're chatting and whatever, and we were literally chatting for like a few days, like consistently all night. And I told my friends that were friends with him that we were talking, and they're like, oh my god, that's so good. Like, you know, I wonder if anything's going to happen between you guys. This guy was actually graduating school around this time, so he was actually leaving school. I wasn't going to see him in school anymore, which is probably a really good thing when I think about it. He came into school one day during recess to sign out of school and like give his textbooks back and stuff. And he came over to my group, and there were some of us sitting on like one side and some of us sitting on another side. And he went over to the other side and started talking to this girl that was in my group that he was friends with. And we kind of like made eye contact because, mind you, we'd been talking for like a few days, kind of like looking at each other. And, you know, but he doesn't come over and say anything, and I don't go over there and say anything. So it was really awkward. And then the bell rang. I went to class and I was like to my friend, you know, I wonder why he didn't come over and talk to me. Like, we've been talking for so long. And so she texted him and she's like, why didn't you come over and talk to Jess? And he's like, oh, I just felt really weird. Like, everyone was there, and, you know, I felt like it was going to be really awkward, and I didn't know if she wanted me to. So he messaged me and apologized and asked me if I wanted to meet up with him in person. Like a date, but no, bitch, it wasn't a date because we met at a park, which is fine. But little girls, trust me, if anyone at all tells you to meet them at a park, don't go, okay? Don't. Especially nowadays with like Tinder. If you meet someone on Tinder and they tell you to meet you at a park, don't go. But back here, you know, in high school, it was like the norm to like meet people at the park and like get in the slides and, you know, do a little finger. So I didn't do that, of course, because I was a prude. We meet at this park, right? And we're talking for quite a long time, and we're really getting along. I can even remember what I wore, guys. I wore this blue dress with like a graphic print of a girl in a city. I had blonde hair, and it was just a mess, but I looked really cute and it really showed my boobs well. So we met, we're talking at this park, on the park bench, whatever. We're talking for quite a few hours, and he didn't have a license. So he'd had someone drop him off, but I had a license. So once we were done, I think I actually offered to drive him home, or maybe that was the next day. We go home, I'm like, oh my God, that was really great. So anyways, a few days later, we arranged to meet again at this same park in town. So we meet up, we're sitting there talking, whatever, and then we start to get a little bit more comfortable around one another. It wasn't so awkward. So, you know, he's sitting there and hugging me from behind, and we're actually kissing a little bit, and we're looking at this like random white van that's parked over there sketchily. After that had finished, I dropped him home and completely ruined my hubcap by scraping up against the gutter because I'm a terrible driver. And so I drop him home and we kiss, and then I go home and I was like, I am in love with this boy. Like 2 dates in, dolls, 2 dates. I'm in love. I'm writing his name over and over in my notebook. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. So we're texting that night and he's like, you know, I really, really like you. And he asks me to be his girlfriend. And I was on cloud 9. I actually remember what I was doing. Is this sad that I remember all of the details? Probably. But I was sitting there with my mum watching Beauty and the Geek. Do you guys remember that show? And I'm like, Mum, guess what? I've got a boyfriend. I know, growing up hard. And she's like, oh, that's good, dolls, good on you. We kept to dating and we kept meeting at this park. Basically, the weird thing was that this guy never ever invited me over to his house, and he never invited me on an actual date anywhere. And his excuse was that he didn't have the money, which is fine, but he did work, which was more than I did. Actually, I worked at McDonald's at this time. That was literally, I was one of those bitches on the fries, okay? I would just consistently, after school, weekends, whatever, I would drive to this park and we would meet, and we would just sit there, talk and hook up on the park bench, like thoughts, like literal thoughts, like I can't even deal. Because back when I was younger, I will be honest with you guys, I used to get a little bit annoyed. And I know you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, Jess, you're so easy going, dolls. You could never get annoyed at anything. But no, back when I was younger, I actually used to get quite annoyed at little things, especially with guys. So one day I asked this guy if he wanted to hang out, and he was like, oh, you know, I can't, I'm actually busy today. And I'm like, okay. So I went into town with one of my friends, and I saw him in town with another one of my friends, and I was really, really upset. I'm like, is she a sad chick? Like, I was going off at him, and he's like, no, I've brought her in here to help me to buy a Valentine's present for you. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, I didn't expect that, but all right, you say so. He ended up giving me this Valentine's Day present, and I gave him one as well, mind you. And this Valentine's Day present that he gave me was a bracelet, which was really nice. It was a silver bracelet, right? We'll get back onto that in a minute. We dated for about almost 2 months in total, but things started to happen as we started to get on to dating. Basically, I was a virgin. Let's just put it out there real quick. I was a virgin, but I had been physical with my last partner. Now, I've actually filmed this video already, and I kind of got a little bit too graphic with things. I was a little bit too open, so I decided that I would refilm it again and maybe not share as much information. This is not Pornhub. We were actually talking about having sex and when we were going to have sex. We were sitting there one day, and I was like, hey, you know what? Instead of always meeting at the park, because we would meet at the park, rain, hail, sunshine, fucking frostbite. And I would get there sometimes in my umbrella, and we would just sit there kissing in the rain with my umbrella. Like, fuck my life. I honestly wish I could slit my throat at that age, because I cannot believe I used to be that person who would do that. Like, how sick. Someone would be walking their dog, and there I am in my fucking wellies kissing some guy who is actually gay. I asked him one day if he wanted to come over to my house, since he wasn't inviting me over to his. So I lived with my mum at the time, but she was going off to work. And so I invited him in, and my mum made us lunch, God bless her soul, and he was really awkward. Like, he didn't want to eat it, and he was like, I just don't like eating in front of people. I'm like, but I'm not people, I'm your girlfriend. So anyway, we were just like laying on the bed and whatever and hooking up, as you do, because what else are we going to do? Like, play Monopoly? No thanks. Without getting graphic, because I don't want to like share the details, because obviously it's quite personal, but I could just kind of gauge, I got this vibe that he was trying to put off being physical, if you know what I mean. Like, he was like just fiddling around with things and not really like getting to the point, if you know what I mean. We were not going to have sex, but you know, it was just kind of how it was going. So I just kind of got the vibe that he wasn't feeling it and he wasn't really like wanting to take any steps. So anyways, I messaged him that night. I'm like, hey, is everything okay between us? You just seemed like you weren't really interested. And he's like, no, it was fine. I just had to go. I was like, okay. Didn't think anything of it. Of course I didn't, because I'm a dumb white bitch. A couple weeks later, it was nearing towards Christmas, and he was going away for Christmas to visit his family. And so he was leaving on, or meant to be leaving on Wednesday. So I'd seen him prior to, like, I think maybe during the week or on the weekend, I think it would have been. And, you know, sort of said our goodbyes and whatever. And he was going for 2 weeks. So on the Wednesday that he was meant to be leaving, I went over to my friend's house because I was a little bit upset, you know, that I wasn't going to be seeing him for 2 weeks. And then I messaged him at the end of the day and I said, you know, hey, how's everything going? How's the trip going? And he said to me, oh, I haven't left yet. I'm going tomorrow. And I was like, hang on a minute, like, you told me that you were leaving today, you know, otherwise I could have seen you today and we could have spent time together before you left. And he got really, really upset. Like, I wasn't even having a massive go. I was just stating like, oh, that's a real shame. Like, I would have liked to see you. And he had a massive go at me and he's like, I told you it was Thursday that I was leaving. And I'm like, no, you didn't. But he had a massive go at me. And he basically said that he needed some time to think about things and he wanted to go on a break and he would contact me when he felt like it. Which, if that was me now, see you later. But back then I was like, where are you going? Come back. Like, I would be so upset. Literally for 2 weeks, over Christmas, everything, did not hear from him. I texted him, I called him, didn't pick up, didn't text me, didn't say anything. Christmas Day came around, he messaged his whole entire contacts list to say Merry Christmas, but didn't actually message me. 2 weeks had passed. I had been depressed for like 2 weeks. I'd been crying. I'd been super, super upset. He had ruined my Christmas because my own boyfriend wasn't talking to me for literally no reason. So when he came back, he contacted me and told me he was back. And I could kind of tell by what he was saying that he wanted to break up with me. So I'm like, you know what? Don't break up with me over text. I want to see you in person. I was going to try and convince him to not break up with me and for us to stay together. So anyway, we met up in person. Guess where? At the park. You fucking know it. And I really wasn't that upset, to be honest with you. Like, I was trying to make myself cry, like legit, because I thought that's what I needed to do and I had to do. But I really wasn't upset. I guess part of me just sort of was over it and I was like, you know what? If he doesn't like me, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. And I guess I sort of thought that maybe something was wrong anyway. So we meet up and he's like, you know, I'm really sorry, but I went to families and I saw some of my family there and people that are married, and I just felt like we couldn't have that. We couldn't have that connection and all that sort of stuff. And I just thought that was the dumbest thing, because we'd literally only been dating for like a month and a half. I was like, yep, okay, whatever. So we decided like a week or so later that we were going to try and be friends, because we did have like mutual friends, and so we thought it would be maybe a little bit easier to try and be friends. So anyways, we tried to be friends, didn't really work out. We kept arguing all the time, so then we just decided to stop being friends. And he told me that he wanted me to give him back the bracelet that he had given me for Valentine's Day so that he could return it. I'm like, bitch, you can't return a sales item. Now don't get me wrong, I appreciate any gift. You could give me anything and I will appreciate it. But do not be making out as though I spent all this money on you and I want it back when it was a sales item for $20 at Goldmark, you dickhead. Dead set, it is not a Tiffany & Co. I want that money back. It is a sales item. You may as well have gone to Claire's, because it literally was nothing. I got rid of that bracelet because I just thought that was the rudest thing, to ask for a bracelet back that was a sales item that you couldn't even return anywhere. Like, where are you going to sell a gum tree? Oh, Jesus just shined a halo on me. That's nice. On your dolls, can you just lower it down a little bit, because I'm trying to film here. So months and months passed and I had started to see someone else who I was really, really into. I just felt like we got along so much more. You know, they were just like more adult, I guess you could say. Well, at the time they were more adult to me in high school. So we started seeing each other and I was really happy. And so I sort of thought, you know, I feel like I can be friends with this, you know, guy again that I was in a relationship with, I feel like we can be friends, you know, I don't feel like it's anything major. You know, sometimes you feel like you can be friends with someone after a while of dating them. So yeah, we talked and everything and it was fine, whatever. And literally about 3 or so months later, I go onto Facebook and guess what I see? Guess that this boy is in a relationship with another boy. And I'm like, sorry, dolls. Missed the memo on that one. I guess in a way it was none of my business because we were no longer together. But still, it kind of upset me a little bit because I thought, you know, you sat there and told me that, oh, I couldn't see myself marrying you or doing this or that. But at the end of the day, it really wasn't that, dolls, was it? I know some people are going to be like, how do you know he's not bisexual? Sure that he is gay, just from what I've heard, from what I've seen. But anyways, yes. My milkshake doesn't bring all the boys to the yard, they bring all the boys to the gay clubs. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and I hope that you found it amusing and LGBT friendly here on this channel. That is it, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Bye guys.